Please stand for the blessing. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for every person here. And we ask your blessings upon those who are ill and those who are suffering loss of loved ones. We ask that you guide our thoughts and our minds and our hearts toward our Cherokee citizen. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Shelley,
Dick Light,
here.
Charlie Guthrie, Bill England,
Honey.
Keith Austin, Cliff Bird, Sean Crittenden, Mike Dobbins,
Here.
Andy Duncan, Wanda Hatfield, Rex Jordan,
Here.
Mike Shambaugh,
Here.
Mary Bakershaw, Honey, E.O. Smith,
Here.
Janice Taylor, Victoria Vesquez, David Walkenstick, Brian Warner.
Honey. I think I said it.
You have a form.
Okay, thank you. I could ask for approval of minutes. So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Reports. Who's going first? Marcia?
Good afternoon.
Nick?
I don't have anything really new to report, but I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions? Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Hi, Marcia. I love the report. I have one question. Marcia, do you have a registered dietitian who helps with the meals for all the meals that are served?
We go, there is a menu that we have to follow, and it's by the state.
And it's by the state?
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to make sure there are people with diabetes and kidney disease and all that.
It's not diabetes oriented, and we know that, but that's what we have to go by because it's a federal program.
Because it's a federal program. I guess I'm concerned, is there any kind of posting for our diabetics or people with, kidney problems, blood sugar, I mean, is it posted for them to know that it may not be friendly toward them?
No, but that's a great idea.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to be sure that we're looking out for our citizens' health concerns.
Yeah, thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah, public health, huh? Public health 101. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Sean Crittenden. Sean?
Yes, seen in here, do you have some job openings, Marcia, in your department? I sure thought I seen something here. But what I'm getting at, Marcia, is one time before I talked to you about an advocate and like what their pay was, and maybe slide that in the budget for one more in Stillwell. Is some of that in the works? Or?
I hope so.
Well, I've been hoping you're a good lady, but I've been hoping for about 4 years.
Yeah.
But what steps do I take to find out how much it is? And I've asked for that before, what an advocate salary would be. And then try to get that into that big old thing they want me to prove every year.
I can get that information for you, Sean, but you have to understand that probably for a position like that, you're talking about for one person.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking probably 100,000 when you put benefits and everything, and your room cost and everything else that's attached to that. May even be more.
Now, we spoke before about the different satellite companies or satellite offices, that there's most of the time more than one.
Yeah.
So whatever the cost is, if you could get that to me, and again, we talked about the numbers. You had to look at the numbers and
Right.
see the feasibility. Do we really need it? But I don't think.
Anytime any money is given for us, for staff, we have to justify where it's needed.
On
That's
the-
what you're talking
Right,
about.
but the numbers of, hey, we need this, you know, I'm sure they're not counting in that, how many they turn away, say, we can't see you today. You know, can you come back tomorrow? Nobody's in the office. So if we could include, it is needed. It is needed in that area. And
If I had my wish, you'd be a very happy council person, because I would have another advocate in every 14 counties. I would have community advocates out there, but I don't control that.
well, that's a budget thing, right?
Yes.
And so we do, right? We control that. So, it's, you know, like we've talked several times, and I'm ready to talk about something else, but if, you know, nothing's came to fruition, not on, you know, I wouldn't point the fingers at you at all. But, there's people, and I've done this before, I figure probably everybody in here's had to look under the couch and look in mom's old purses and scrape up enough change to get to town. So sometimes, if they make it down to human services and there's no one in there to see them, they're not going there for any other reason except the basic needs like you guys help with all the time, and I appreciate you guys so much, but I would just like there to be someone, and the phone lady, she's nice, works hard, good hometown girl, but she don't have the power to approve any help. But I guess just asking you for those numbers of what it would take, I'll put it in the budget, and you know, surely that'll fit in that mountain of a notebook deal we get. But, thank you for getting that for me. And,
Just let me say that anytime anyone can't come in, we do make home visits. We will schedule that. Anytime anyone, and that's where those community advocates come in. They don't sit in the office. They're out in the field, and that's where they should be. And if they're needed to go someplace.
I agree, but Marcia, too many times these people come to that office, because that's where I send them, and there's nobody there to see them. And of course, we're the ones getting those calls saying there's nobody in the office that I sent them to like a dummy. And I love that, going out home visiting, but it's a struggle on and you know, like I said, I've been begging for that for about 4 years. But thank you for getting me those numbers. Thank you. Sorry about it.
Janice, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but when do our budget hearings start with you?
They're usually somewhere around the 19th of August, somewhere around there.
And so that might be a good time to think about talking to Denise or the chief, or,
Probably earlier, maybe.
well, earlier would not hurt, but to get your licks in early.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sean, this hasn't gone there are steps, just like some other things that have been mentioned in here. It does happen. Sometimes it takes a little while. And we have put in a request actually to the BIA for more staff. Now, that's the BIA. We don't have any control over that, but that was just in the last couple of years. So I just want you to know, we are listening, but there's just things that we can only do. So,
Let me ask you this, Marcia, just so I'll know. I'm not trying to debate anything, but like, are all of our advocates paid by the BIA?
no, but that BIA's budget hasn't increased. That's a good place to start, because it hasn't been increased in, gosh, Joe, help me, 20 years?
At least.
At least. So, that's a good place to start because you can justify that. The cost of living has gone up for tribal citizens, but, and the cases have increased every year and all that time. So we're not just looking at Adair County. We have to think about everybody.
I know, but I understand, most of the other places have two.
They may have a community advocate that's not sitting there. They're out in the community.
And then somebody in there.
Yeah, but there'll be one person in there.
Right, see, that's Stillwell's problem, is when that
They have
That lady is
they
this
have a
lady.
community advocate that's assigned that office.
that lady is that same lady. And whereas these other places have this one and that one.
Just like it is any other office, Sean. If they're sitting in that office.
So they just have
Then
one?
then they're not doing their job, and that's when I need to be told.
But, sorry to talk, this is one of my things here. I'm not understanding. So I've got Carrie, hard worker. So does everybody else just have one lady?
I don't have any, so,
Hmm?
I don't have any. There's one or two
Yeah,
counties over
but-
for me. So.
Where are they located at? Jay,
Stillwell, Salisaw, Catoosa.
there's just one lady at Jay, one lady that can approve something? Or Salisaw, I mean?
There's two in there, Marcia.
There's two, but one of them's a
One
community
in the
advocate.
community.
One of them's
One
out,
stays
one of
in
them stays.
office. Yeah,
Okay, that's
one
my
of them.
problem.
Yeah.
This one here is this same lady out here. So when she's out here, nobody's here. So, but like I said, Marcia, you're a sweet lady, and I'm not pointing fingers at you. I know it's the big boys that have to approve this money. But I want to be clear, I'm not asking for something that's not needed. And if you're sitting there thinking we don't have one, I'll be the first one shoulder up beside you and fight for one. Because I know them basic needs are what I see the most. So, thank you. You can talk about something else.
Well, and when I said I didn't have one, I call on the one that is now over in Craig County, and she does answer that call. So I don't want anybody getting upset with me.
No.
But there's probably needs, I don't know, in every county. There's so many people and so much money to go around. I think is what you're telling us.
I agree. You're not, nobody's saying anything that I don't agree with.
Marcia, it's probably taken, waiting on the BIA or federal government. That's not something we're gonna hold our breath here at the tribe or any tribe. But it probably took 20 years before we were able to do a different census on cost per student on Johnson O'Malley. And it finally did happen.
Yes.
The situation from Counselor Creighton, what if it doesn't have to be a full-time advocate in the beginning? Can we get somebody there like a part-time to even do, maybe just answer the phone?
We could look at it.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
you're
that's a start.
talking about the difference between a part-time, someone that answers the phone and sees somebody versus someone that does case management.
It's a start, someone that could take messages.
Now, we've got that, Joe.
You have that already?
Yes.
So you've got that, answer the phone, takes messages, then you've got one out in the field, or they're actually talking to real people.
Right, and
Okay.
this person answering the phone has no authority to
Make a
help these
decision.
folks.
Okay, okay,
Thank you.
All right.
I mean, that's a great idea, too.
thank you.
Anyone else? Marcia, thank you. Skitzer, how are you? Yeah.
See y'all. Well, this month, this report period, we've had some accomplishments in Office Environmental Health and Engineering. We've completed 3 of those water line projects at Delaware, Muskogee, and Kenwood. They've expanded some services in preventive care, primarily with doing more water analytics and the chemical analysis they perform every month. Also, they've expanded or reinstituted the rabies prevention clinic, offering rabies shots. So those are some reinstitutions of some activities that's going on in Office of Environmental Health and Engineering. In our youth development and adult residential program, they've made a lot of success this month in that, they had eight youth activities, 9 adult activities across like 10 communities. The staff continues to expand their knowledge and enhance their skills. Attended the grants writing course in our efforts to improve revenue streams coming into community services, ultimately serving our communities. Those grant writing courses will enable them to participate and teach them how to research those grant opportunities. One of the things that we are participating in is the with the opioid task force, we're preparing to present and talk about the trends that they observed or the observations they've made in the communities. So we're taking some training coming up in how to respond to the grants crisis in our communities. But those takeaways that they got from the grants writing class will make a tremendous difference in taking advantage of the funding opportunities presented, and not only for our administration, but for the communities we serve. Those courses will be coming up in the next couple of months, and hopefully with the task force working in concert with them, our staff can make a difference as well. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Harley?
Martha, here at the Cherokee Nation and even before 638 programs, we had what, the CHR program.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Water and Sanitation used to have 3 slots that was funded through CHR. I'm wondering if they still have those slots. And I should have brought this up in the health department too, because that's where the CHR program used to really do a lot of work, because they would transport patients to appointments and things like that. But I also thought that I saw someplace in the Trump administration where they were going to eliminate that particular program.
That's proposed. That's proposed in the 2020.
Yeah, but what I was wondering, if we still had any of those positions in community development, then I also need to ask the health department, because I've had some complaints, and this is getting into the health. I've had complaints about from patients that they don't have transportation, and then they call to get the transportation, but only have one person do the transport, and I'm talking about Jay. And it's just getting difficult for some of those patients to get into the clinic. And the reason I'm asking if we had those funds still within community services, because we used to have 3 when I used to work on that.
Okay. I'm sure the funding was recurring in the 638 contract that probably gets channeled through the health department primarily, and would have to follow up and see if we still have that availability, or if they've been rechanneled or
And you're right, it was funded through the health department, but then also Billy Hicks or our water and sanitation department.
were allotted
We had
those
3.
positions.
I think we had 3.
That's a good question. I'll follow up on that.
All right, I appreciate it if you would. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Anyone else? Thank you. Appreciate it. Cool, Mr. Cooper.
So good afternoon. I know that y'all have a long day and you're running a little bit late, so I'll try to keep it brief. I did want to mention that today starts our Regional Housing Association's annual meeting. So we have tribes and Indian housing professionals from about 50 different tribes from about the 4-state region of the Southern Plains coming to Hard Rock. They love coming to Hard Rock. They love that facility, and we're happy to have them. So we're glad for that, and they always have nothing but great things to say for our facility there. HUD is also looking at having the estimates for the FY 2020 budget that we used to put the Indian Housing Plan together, available sometime after June 1st. So I don't know exactly for sure when that will be, but they say don't expect it until June 1. So we will see. I do need to let you know that, since HUD is an executive branch, they are required to use the numbers that is included in the president's annual budget report or budget request. So that slashes and cuts and everything else, the NAHASTA program's budget by $155 million off the top line. So whenever you see the Indian Housing Plan coming in the future, you will need to remember that. It doesn't have anything to do with that. Doesn't mean that that's what Congress is going to fund it at, because they tell us the same thing, is that makes a nice door opener because we don't look at it. It's just what they want, and we'll do our own thing. And we hope that that continues to be the case. I'm also hoping that in early summer, I think that's kind of what we heard at ITC last week, that we might expect to see the NOFA for the $100 million of competitive grants. Those are actually $200 million. There's $200 million available for FY18, $100 million for 2019. We expect to apply for both and all and as much as we can get for those. Depending on whenever that NOFA comes out, we'll be able to see exactly what would be the most beneficial. And I expect that that seems to be kind of on track because OMB has put out one of their regulatory notice requirements that's required on that. I also want to mention, since our last meeting, that the Tribal HUD-VASH Act for 2019 passed out Senate Committee on Indian Affairs. Hopefully, maybe this summer, the Senate can take it up and get it out. Just to kind of tell you how important it is, it started out as a demonstration project to put a Tribal HUD-VASH program for homeless veterans out to Indian country, because that was an area not being served through the regular public housing HUD-VASH program. We've been able to demonstrate, as well as all the other folks who got those awards, demonstrate that. I think to date we've housed 41 Native veterans that would have been homeless or near homeless at the time they received assistance. We currently have 16 housed and currently have 3 looking for housing. So there was definitely a need for that. Those are definitely people that wasn't getting served through the public housing component of that same program. Hopefully Congress this year can pass that HUD-VASH bill out that would make the Tribal HUD-VASH program a permanent program. The last thing I want to mention is, and I'll end with some sad news. Last Thursday, we lost one of our longest serving employees, Arlene Chambers. If you've been around the tribe over the past 39 years, you probably knew Arlene. I think whenever I looked, she had been employed with she came over to the Housing Authority during the rehab transfer, and from her years of service at Cherokee Nation, years of service with the Housing Authority, she has worked and dedicated her service to the Cherokee people for 39 years and 39 days. And she will definitely be missed. We hate that, and we definitely keep her family in our thoughts and prayers of comfort for the following week. Her services are tomorrow afternoon, and we will miss her. And she had just turned 60 not but a few months ago. So other than that, I think that's all I have. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Sean?
Hey, you had just a couple questions. Now, you're good about if I call you and say, hey, an elder needs the application brought out to them for a particular thing, and you've been really good about that. But do we have anything in place if they're at the Housing Authority, or if we bring an app to them to kind of help them gather those documents, as far as someone who could help them?
I mean, to some extent, a lot of those documents are private personal information that we don't have a right to. They're going to have to access.
Right. And
like, we can't go down to the bank and collect a bank statement from them and
again,
things like that.
Just kind of some of our areas, there's some folks who, may need a ride to the bank, may need a ride to DHS to get their award letter, is there anything in place where we for sure could help the elder?
I would have to go back and look and see, because I don't know off the top of my head. There is some federal requirements that we follow whenever it comes to transporting individuals. Now, I mean, if they are a tenant, then they are eligible to be transported, or an employee, but I'm not 100% sure about
Like a
an
rehab.
untested applicant.
Emergency rehab.
I don't know, because we haven't determined their eligibility to determine that they would be eligible to participate on a program. So I would have to research that first to
Probably
see.
be more tribal dollars, right, helping that citizen apply for something through the housing authority.
I mean, my first guess would be yes, but then you would also, all the stuff related to that vehicle, fuel costs, everything else would have to go to that fund too. It couldn't come out of the federal grant, I believe, but I will have to verify that just to make
Right,
sure.
that is
I
what
do know we can, an applicant, a tenant, a resident, a tenant, a resident, employee, things like that, but I'm not sure about an applicant who has not been determined eligible.
Well, you're good about getting back stuff to me, so if you look at that, and maybe another angle we can take in here if you can't. And also, I've had more than one saying that they couldn't get their balance, like if they're buying a home or they need hey, what do I owe on my house? What's the process of that?
They have to make a request in writing,
I thought so.
has to be in writing, and where it needs to be provided to, and as of when. I mean, if they don't say when, as long as it's made in writing and they are the signatory on that contract, we will provide it to them. We will pull it, provide it to them, and it would be effective as of that day we run it. But if they need it through a certain day because they're paying off or whatever, then they can make those requests.
And when and where it needs to be provided could be mailed to them, right?
Yeah, I mean, the key factor is the request has to be made in writing for us to
All right,
release
that's
some
probably what
information.
those missing.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, and Mike,
I have a question too about applications. The problem some of my people are having, well, I say my people, some constituents are having, they'll go put in for like a handicap ramp or something of that nature. And I know they're going to be put on a waiting list, but I need them to get a denial or whatever, so I can try to help them in other ways. But then when I called them back, and they said, well, I just got this letter back and said I didn't fill this one thing out, and I got to resend it. Well, I don't understand why. Maybe there's not enough time, but if somebody comes in to do an application, can they not check their application to make sure they've got everything? Because they don't. I mean, I don't know but they don't do that. And and that process gets, thank you for your application. We'll get back with you and let you know.
Yeah, generally they do if they agree to wait for, I mean, if someone has someone in their office or
I don't
something.
think they're getting that option. They're just like, thank you, they take it, thank you, we'll get back with you when it's reviewed. And
I can check. I mean, I know that's not the case at other offices, but I will check.
Okay. Well, that's what I get quite often from people who call me back when I check back with them, because I said, you have to have an application in before you get help.
Yeah,
That's
and
all it is.
even whenever someone comes in and applies for emergency rehab, they're going to walk out with the list of everything that we need, because
understand.
if they have it on their purse, and we're going to get it, CDIB card, blue card, whatever.
Right.
We're going to collect all of that, and then they're going to have a list of everything we need.
Well, even at that, when that happens, and I have sent several back for emergency rehab, well, then I'll call them back and say, hey, what'd you hear? Said, well, I forgot, I didn't get this turned in. And they sent it back. They said, I'll have to get this sent in. Well, again, they're not being told if this wasn't, when they're turning it in, they're not being told if this is lacking. You know what I mean? Then it just takes the process farther down the road for getting help. I don't think it's being looked at right then. I think it's caught later, but then it just goes later on in the process. They have to send it back or get a hold of them. It just takes longer to get those things done than.
I mean, I would be happy to check, because I even know a lot of times I have people on staff that they will, someone says, hey, will you make arrangements with this person? My staff will pick up the phone and call them and say, okay,
Right.
we need you to bring in X, 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 and X.
Well, I know that you've been good, and I agree, because I've called you many times, and you've always taken my calls, and you've always helped me every time with whatever reason I've called. But I'm just telling you, this is what people are telling me, that, I just think if it was looked over before they left, You could alleviate some of those problems about, well, finding out about it two or 3 days later and having to start that process.
No,
over.
and I agree, and it should be, you know, as long as the person would provide us the time for someone to look it over, because there should be someone there
Might
available.
look into that and just see.
And that's the same way, you know, a lot of times, and not you, I mean, other ones have said, well, who should they go talk? Do not, I mean, I'm not going to send, not 9 times out of 10, I've sent someone in to talk to, you know, so-and-so, and so-and-so's been out to lunch, and, well, they're not here, so I'm just going to go. No, just go in and say, I need help with this, and someone will help you. So, you know, I try to make sure that that's the case, but I will follow up on that because, I mean, we try to make sure that we do everything we can to
I think
get
that's
someone
the main
help.
complaint I get on an application.
Yeah.
You know, they found out a week later they didn't fill this in.
Yeah.
When they were there. So,
Yeah, and I will check on that.
thank you.
And I've got Stick first and then Sean.
Thank you, Chairman. Hey, Gary, what's the average mortgage we're putting these new homes on?
I don't have that on me, and I would hate to guess on an average with 800 or so out there.
Ballpark. That is 100,000, 150,000,
No, I would,
200,000.
per house, no, it would be somewhere in the 70 range.
So we're mortgaging these houses for 70,000.
Now, I mean, again, I don't have that information in front of me. I'm guessing it's somewhere in the neighborhood.
Okay. I was told by one of the people it was around 120, 130.
Not on our housing program. I mean, I can double check, but no, I don't believe that that's
It
correct.
seemed a little high.
Yeah, no, it's not. Now, a payoff could be that high if there was a lot of stuff that had to be done at the, you know, if they needed some type of, you know, because I've had them before that they need an aerobic system. I've had a couple that needed like a nitrous system, or maybe they needed some special type of septic system, plus they needed a new well dug. And I mean, you know, just with those two things, we're talking about $20,000. So, you know, $20,000 on top of the 70 that was already there. I mean, it could start adding up to something, but I don't believe. Now, we've had houses appraised for those amounts, but no, I don't think we've had any mortgage for anywhere near that. I don't even know that we've had any mortgage for anywhere close to $100,000 mark.
Okay, so you think they're around the $100,000 range at most?
No, at most, I would say on average is somewhere in the high 60s to mid 70 range.
Okay. I gotta go revisit these people. They said 120, so, all right, well, thank you.
I mean, you know, mortgages are a public record. They're on file down at the courthouse.
That, the,
It seemed high, because you're building just a rectangular home. I mean, the appraisal of it's probably
We don't.
80,000.
I know that we haven't had any contracts that I can think of that's cost anywhere near that, unless,
I know the builders are getting about 90,000 to build.
no, there's been several that's come in less than that.
Well, I'm saying, the builders in Tahlequah, they're getting about 90 to 95,000 to build a home.
I would have to go back and look at the
Personally.
contract to verify that.
Yeah, so, but if, you know, if we're getting a mortgage out for 100,000.
No, it's whatever it's costing to build.
Okay, but,
And I've had several that's appraised for the $115,000-$120,000
no, we're not talking
range, et
appraisal,
cetera.
this is the
But, no, but that's what I'm saying is, I mean, that's the only time that I've heard those figures thrown in is whenever I've saw an appraisal come back for that. I don't
Okay.
recall of any loans coming in.
All right. That, you answered my question, thank you, Chair.
you're welcome. Is this the new housing program or
Yes.
the replacement?
This is the new housing program.
Replacement's a little higher, I think, in your.
No, actually replacements, I'll have to double check. I think some of the replacements because I think we had a 4-bedroom replacement and I want to say it was in the low 70s. I'll have to double check. I mean, I think we had to do a 4-bedroom replacement home recently, and there might have been another size replacement home. I think you know, I think Kanan and Mr. Crittenden probably know who I'm talking about because I think it's over in their area. The family had to have a 4-bedroom, so we had to bid out that size of home. But no, I'm pretty sure it came in at the low to mid 70s.
I'm sorry. Sean?
I think you answered my question there. So I'm just interested too, in maybe tightening up that, making sure when they hand in that application
Yeah.
at the different sites, because I hear a lot of that too, and my good folks at Stillwell, but I didn't want him seeming like the only county that was getting those calls. But thank you for tightening that up.
Anyone else? Thank you, Gary.
Thank y'all.
Michael Lynn.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, committees. You have our monthly report in your packet, but just to go over a few highlights. Northeast Fort Gibson Road Project between Muskogee and Cherokee counties. They're working on Rocky Top Road, doing clearing grubbing, making cuts and fills, and working on construction of the bridge abutments for the bridge that should be starting very, very soon to that area. Ross Street, located here in the city of Tahlequah. Contractors working on the realignment of Commercial Drive that ties into Ross Street so that it can help aid traffic flow at the intersection signal. They've got ag base or rock placed throughout. They should have Commercial Drive. It is currently closed right now. Drivers are being asked to use Boone Street as an alternate, but they should be opening Commercial Drive up this week after they get the rock put on it. The curb and gutter is installed on the entire north side of the road from beginning to end right now, and their contractors are also working to start construction of the paving of the main line. White Oak Road in Craig County, we're waiting on one last utility. It's a fiber optic line to be relocated. I found today that they should be starting that relocation process in the next couple of weeks. We're making final plan revisions on that project to get it out to bid as soon as the utilities are all out of the way. Leech Kenwood Road in Delaware County, contractor been up there this month working. They have placed sod in areas throughout the project. They have constructed the asphalt guardrail widening. The only remaining items on the project are signs, replacement of the existing roadway signs, guardrail installation, and general cleanup. Last schedule showed they would be completed at the end of April. The line switch project in Adair County, we've got a public meeting scheduled May 2nd at 6 p.m. at the Lions Switch Community Building. We're going to be presenting 30% plans to the community and getting input, taking feedback from them. And lastly, Mr. Chair, I would like to just follow up with Councilor Buzzard's request. I know Ms. Ketcher's going to check into the CHR positions, but just any transportation assistance that they need, I would encourage them to contact Pelivan in that area and schedule a ride if they're needing rides to medical appointments, things of that nature. So if you need that number, I can get that number to you.
And they have been using Pelivan to some extent too. I'm just wondering, what are we doing with the CHR fund?
Okay.
Mainly in health is where I should have asked it.
Okay. That is my report, Mr. Chair. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Dory.
Yes, thank you. Michael, I think this Craig County Road project has been on here since before I was elected. Can you tell me exactly what we're doing? Replacing the bridge, is that
Which one
Craig
is that?
County, North-South Bonita, 4410 Road?
That is a project with Oklahoma Turnpike Authority, Craig County, the City of Veneta, and Cherokee Nation. It's a
And is it for the new bridge?
a new overpass over the turnpike that leads to the new clinic. The right-of-way on that project is nearing completion, so we would be moving into the utility relocation phase after that. It's been a big project, as you can imagine, and there's several funding partners. All the four that I named have all are funding partners in that. Not sure. I take that back. I'm not sure the city and the county are funding partners, but they have been providing assistance through right-of-way acquisition portion and things like that. So.
I also am wondering about alternate routing to the clinic because there's not direct a road.
The last I was aware, the old bridge is going to remain in place, and they'll be constructing one next to it.
Okay.
So I think
That would be a big
it may be it'll be a construction zone. It may be a little slower traffic control and such, but I think it will remain open and passable.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, you're going to helicopter your patients across the
So,
road. I think I had Harley and then Mike.
Michael, on the Leech Kenwood Road, there are people working. How are we paying that from the project money itself? You had money left over?
Are we paying for the construction?
Yeah.
through federal dollars.
Okay, but what I'm wondering is, so you're using federal dollars now to pay whoever finishing up the sod work?
Yeah, well, we're paying our contractor that we have a contract with. We're not paying the subcontractors directly. But we have a contract that's paid with federal TTP, Tribal Transportation Program funds, through Federal Highway Administration, and our contractor, we're paying them.
And the other question I got, on the parking lot at Hobart, was any federal funds used on the
No, sir.
parking lot?
No, sir.
All trouble. Okay, that's
Yes.
fine. Thanks, sir.
You're welcome, Michael.
Okay. Well, I gotta ask it too, so I'm not done with Leach Kenwood yet. So, it still blows my mind here, we're at $748,000 now. Are we going to get $748,000, are they gonna pay Cherokee Nation $748,000 for being in arrears? Is that what you mean? Is this what this means?
That's the days that they're behind on the project, and at this point, we have not made a payment, any progress payments to them for probably the past 7 or 8 months. So we have funds, we have retained all of the funds that we need, the nation needs to recoup any of those liquidated damage days that are deemed necessary in the end.
So what did it cost to do this road?
Well, I'd have to go back and look, Counselor. I don't know right offhand.
Okay. I would be interested in knowing how much we paid to have this road done by this company. How much we've paid this company up to this point. And I guess it'll probably be next month, how much they owe us for being more than $748,000 in the hole to us.
It's $750,000.
That's crazy. I mean, I don't get that, how anybody is going to profit from this. I don't see how, well, it's just, this is blowing my mind a little bit with this amount of money that's owed to us, and how much, I guess how much we paid for what they've done so far. That's just, that doesn't make sense. That I don't see how you can make money doing business this way. Something's not right. So if you would get that for me,
Okay.
how much the road cost, how much we paid for it from this point, I would like that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mary?
Could someone please calculate the interest rate on $750,000 a day to me and explain to me how this has happened? I'm sorry, we are responsible here for the Cherokee people's money. I don't understand it either.
I mean, we don't have it.
$750,000 and we're not doing something here? Something isn't right. Can anyone sitting here explain this to me?
But I don't think this money's in hand.
No, we're responsible. I'm telling you then, why aren't we doing something? Is there anyone here that's going to tell us?
Mr. Chair, if I could address that, that $750,000 is not in the contractor's hand. That still is at Cherokee Nation's, in our hands, in our bank account, so to speak. So it's still earning interest here at the tribe, just as any other
How
dollar
much
that we
is-
have invested.
How much is here in the tribe?
For that project, I'll have to find out. That's part
I'm
of the
sorry,
contract.
how much did you say is still here in the tribe?
You said $750,000. I'm saying that's $750,000 is still sitting here at the tribe. We have not paid that out to the contractor.
Okay, what did you say, Counselor Shambach?
Well, I don't, who is, I guess maybe I'm confused. Who is responsible for this $748,000?
The contractor.
Okay.
In the
But
end.
we don't have any of that money in hand.
Yes, we have not paid any of that out.
I know we haven't paid any of that out.
So it's still in our hands.
No, but does not the contractor owe that? Who's the contractor owe that to?
We retain, for every payment that we make on any federally funded project, we retain 5% of every dollar that we pay out. So we have that retainage here, plus the fact that we haven't been making progress payments for work that's been done out there, just simply because I didn't want to get upside down in the project where they did actually owe us money in the end. At this point, they do not owe us any money. We have all the money here in-house that once all the dust settles, we'll figure out what days will be charged, and we'll make appropriate payments at that time, once the
Not
project
missing
is
any money.
completed.
Well, the question is, how much have they already done?
So has any work been done?
Yes, this month work was done, yes.
So there is no money missing?
How much have they
No,
already-
no ma'am.
How much money has been paid out? I just want to know.
I'll find that out. I will find that out.
Because if I have misspoken, I'm going to apologize.
Sure, go ahead.
No, I just want it to be known. If I have misspoken, I will apologize.
Sure.
So I hope you will give me an accounting at the next meeting so I will know if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Okay?
I will do that, yes ma'am.
And I think Michael has retained that funding, is what it's
That's
saying.
correct.
Yeah,
That is
I think
correct.
that's what
I want it to be known. If I have misspoken, I will apologize.
Hey, I've got Sean and then I've got you, I believe.
Now, Michael, every time that comes up, I have to ask this. Now, do they have, are they winning other bids, or do they have any bids with us?
That particular contractor, no. And I need to correct myself from last committee meeting. I made a statement that they had won the parking lot at Holbert, and that is actually incorrect. After I got up from the table and I realized that I had misspoke. That contractor that has the Leach Kenwood project that we're talking about here is Glover and Associates. That contractor has not won any more
I
bids.
just want a clear understanding.
What would be the plan on, what's the process of, will they be able to?
No, I think that, I can't speak for that contractor or that company, but I believe they have been bought out by another company. I don't know that the company Glover and Associates will be bidding at any time in the future, because they were bought out by APAC.
Bought out by a totally separate
Yes.
group of people, not just a group of us buying them out?
No, yeah, it was totally outside, a group out of Arkansas, actually. So that's a nationwide company, but I believe the group out of Arkansas is the branch that purchased Glover and Associates.
And that group is, are they Taro certified, or?
No, sir. APAC is not.
So if they start bidding, now if they bought out a company, they surely would retain some of the employees, maybe or maybe not.
I don't know.
They'll probably be told pretty straightforward. Now, here's what happened when these boys ran this road. Stay on top of it anyway. I'm gonna move on to Bale. Now, what's the latest on that, the Oak Ridge, the big superhighway coming through there? What's the latest on that?
It's still in design. Still never did hear back. Commissioner Chandler, I need to follow back up with him on the bridge.
The bridge, right?
Yes, the bridge. I need to follow back up with him on that. But the day I talked to him, he was going to go out and look at it the next day.
I've talked to him too. He's got another project, so we're good. But the superhighway, the whole highway, was that what you were talking about,
Still in design, yes. Yes.
Is the right-of-ways all set up?
No, they have not been acquired.
Being in the business, what realistically, unless a miracle would happen and all of it comes together, what realistically can I tell these folks? I remember an estimate I won't hold you to, but just being in the business, what do you think we're looking at?
I think the plans were between 70 and 90% complete the last time I checked. With that being said, we should be nearing the right-of-way acquisition phase. As far as completion date goes, I don't know how many parcels there are on that project. I don't recall. I could go back and look and let you know. But
We've got money for that already, right?
yes, the money is building up to build the project, yes.
How long has that, Michael, I'm sure I've asked you before, when did that start? Seems like, you can just get that to me later.
Okay.
On that information. And I was also gonna thank you. Either you're a pretty good actor, or you still kinda like me a little bit, but every time I call you and had that meeting with, some of my commissioners, always professional, so thank you for that. That helped me out a bunch. Thank you.
Janice?
Michael, let's go back to this Leach Kenwood thing for a minute. Can you give a layman's explanation of how contract typically works and how this one did not work and went awry, okay? So like, we have this road, we invite people to bid on it. They say, we can build that road for $100 and we can do it in 30 days. How typically does the contract play out? I'm assuming we pay them as the progress goes on.
We do. We pay progressive estimates, yes. That's what we call our progressive pay estimate, yes.
Okay, so we have all the money to start with, and we have an agreement with this company.
Yes, ma'am.
So on this, we had all the money to start with. We had an agreement with this company to do it. They started out maybe doing fine, and then they got behind, and they got further behind and further behind. In the contract, it says, if you don't finish it by December 30th, you owe us $1,000 a day. So this $748,000 is actually on paper, correct? It's not that we've paid that and they haven't produced. We're not paying them because they haven't produced.
We are,
Is
that is absolutely correct. We are not paying them because they have not produced.
Okay.
And that, I mean, and just to make sure we're talking the same language here, you said that 750,000 is on paper. It's, I mean, it is on paper, yes, but it's also, I mean, it's cash that the nation has not laid out. We have
Right.
not paid that out. So
Right.
not only is it just on paper, it's still in the account.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
And so Michael has retained that funding to protect the tribe.
Yes, sir.
And if there's money to be paid by this contractor later, if they can't do it, there's a bonding.
There is bonds, yes, sir.
And thank you, sir. And Buell, I think.
That was actually, I was gonna say, there's probably a performance bond
There are.
put up,
Yeah,
and so,
they're in.
we're not gonna get dinged for it at all.
There are, the project is protected by bonds.
Thank you.
And any other questions?
Thank you.
Michael. Hannah Knight.
Good evening. Yes, this is very brief. You have a copy of my report. I'm happy to answer any questions. I did just want to update you that if anyone calls you, people can request extensions for their IRS tax return today at irs.gov. So if someone calls you and they haven't got it done, and they can also still file their own tax returns for free on myfreetaxes.com, as long as their income's under $66,000. So we processed about 1,700 applications through the 15th of this month through. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions?
That's good work, Anna.
The staff does a really good job. It saves people a lot of money.
Yeah.
That was good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nikki Baker.
No, sorry.
Good afternoon. I submitted my report, of course, and then I brought with me, each of you should have it at your chair, it's Child Abuse Awareness Month, so just some information, stickers, some basic stuff about that. I think there's a magnet in there. And then also print out about Sexual Assault Awareness Month on behalf of One Fire. And on April the 24th, we encourage everyone to wear jeans. And there's a story behind Denim Day and about rape, and that every woman's body is her own, and that she has the right to say no. So just some information on that, and a contest of jeans decorating for employees is going on. But other than that, any questions on my report?
Nikki, in One Fire, how many employees do we have now?
Let's see, it's up to about 6. We kind of just, each year, it's completely grant funded. I think this year we might have asked for a little bit of money from tribal council, but each year we just try to ask for a few more employees through those grants, and right now I believe we're up to 6.
Like the advocates, and this is just fact, I'm not gossiping. I
Sure.
know there's JR and Shauna, and who's the,
Amber, she's one out of Salisaw. We have one that's out, had a baby, and her name's Kylie. And then we have a position that we advertised, and we've made a selection, and we're waiting to see if they're coming on board. So how many is that?
that'll be 5. if
Okay,
she
and I guess I
comes
counted myself, but I'm technically not.
on. So we're looking for, are we looking for another one, or do they seem to be, do they have enough staff? Is that,
Yeah, I mean, based off of, basically, they're all grant funded, so we do our best to cover everything, and again, I can bring statistics, but each year we just keep serving more and more women, and we've been a little understaffed because one has been out having a baby. There was one, I think, on leave, so I'm sorry, there will be one more position.
Two more.
Yes,
coming.
yes. And so because of just life, we have been a little short-staffed, but again, those are, you have to wait.
And we've got the money in the grant budget to pay for those staff.
Absolutely,
Is that-
yeah. And then, of course, if they're gone, you're gonna end up with a little extra money at the end, so you might be able to hire an employee for, it's all grant funded, and you have to advertise that, this is grant funded, so depending on how many year that grant is for, whenever we advertise each time, we have to say this is grant funded and let them know how much time is left on that grant, because some people might not want to be employed knowing that it might not last very long.
How many employees do we have the money for in that grant?
6, I mean, I'm never gonna hire more than what I can afford.
7?
No, okay, wait, sorry. Amber, JR, Shauna. 6 people.
Okay, so you've got funding for 6?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. Thank you.
You bet. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I just would like to ask to see you briefly after the meeting. Thank you. Mr. Chair.
Michael.
And I won't expect a long answer or anything like that, but the 2 lawsuit cases.
The 2 what?
Lawsuit cases on Indian child welfare.
Are you talking about the Murphy decision in regards to jurisdiction?
And there was a new one in Arkansas?
Yeah, Sebastian
Okay.
County.
Yeah. Was that, how are those, do we have any updates on those? Just, are they looking good, not good, or?
Attorney General's office prefers to answer the legal questions, although I do have a legal degree. They prefer for me to not answer legally.
Okay.
Nick.
Yes, sir?
You guys can ask Chrissy now if you have questions on those cases. I know she's on both of them. One is Brackeen and the other is Fisher v. Cook
Right.
out of Arkansas.
Right.
If you just forward any questions to,
I just want to know if there was any updates on those.
I haven't heard of any, but I don't work on those cases. Chrissy definitely does. If you guys have any questions.
The Murphy case is final, though, is it not?
The Murphy case?
Mhm.
I don't think an opinion has been issued yet.
Okay. And is the case in Arkansas, do you know where it stands is right now?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it other than it's just an active case.
Okay.
They were pretty happy with Brackeen in a sense that when they were there and heard the feedback, they seemed to be positive. When the state referred to the children as their own, they
Right.
interrupted and said those are tribal children. So based off of body language, we're hopeful.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Kevin Stretch. Stretching his way up.
Doing it, guys. Tell you they get you. You have my report in front of you. I know we're short on time, as usual for me, because I'm at the end of the list, but anyway. A couple of things. Gail passed out to you our event schedule, as well as cemetery applications, if you know of anyone in your area that has maybe a family cemetery that they can list Cherokees in there. We have budgeted, we have 91 currently in progress. We have a budget for another 59, so if there's any in your area.
Is this new or the same?
No, it's the same one. Yes, and that's tribal council money, and we're just overseers of it. So also on there, I want to point out on our agenda that we have this digital outreach program that you guys have so graciously given money to, and currently we are sending out equipment to the at-large groups. It's a multi-phase operation, and the whole idea is to help the communities in district and at large communicate with each other. And that being said, what we plan on doing is hooking up the sister communities, or hooking up national treasures that are unable to travel, that want to share their skills to in district and at large, and they can do this from their house because we'll be using, internet technology. We have the IT department. We're not forgetting. We're starting with the at-large because they're typically in large areas that have good digital infrastructure. But we're not forgetting the local groups because that's the biggest challenge in district. As you know, they're rural communities. Some of them have connectivity issues, and that we're working with IT. IT's has a list of all of the organizations in the area, in every tribal community, and they're going to go out to the buildings and see what the connectivity is and what issues, and see if they can rectify it for each community organization that works with the Cherokee Nation. So the idea is they can, that we can reach out to them, or the national treasurers can reach out to them, or they can reach out to each other without the Cherokee Nation being involved in it at any time that they want. So I'm very encouraged about that and excited about it. It should cut down on the travel budget as well. And so we're trying to do the most good for the most Cherokees. Anything else?
Yes, Mr. Stretch has the 7,500 for the communities. Is Bellefonte community ever taken advantage of that?
I'm not sure. Penny?
Not in several years. We are working, there's a new organization that has started out there, but we would love to work with Bellefonte again.
Okay.
They haven't reached out to us in quite a few years.
Okay. Just checking. Thank you, sir.
Harley?
Yeah, Kevin, this is a good pamphlet that you put out, and I wish the other departments would put out a resources book where and define some of the programs that they operate. We used to get it here at the Nation, but we haven't had one in the last 6 or 7 years. But this has good information that we get asked a lot about, and we just know we can go to this book and we can find it. The other question I have is on the application process, and this was brought up to me by an elderly gentleman. He's probably in his 80s, take care of a cemetery, and he asked about a riding mower. And I see that you don't fund those. But what if can they use the $500 and then use their cemetery funds to go with that, or did we just gonna say no?
Yeah,
because he told me they're getting too old to do a push mower and do that all with push mower.
I think we allot $500 to be used for equipment and or even labor for each cemetery.
Yeah, well, I think all he really wanted, he wanted us to buy him a riding mower, what he wanted.
And those usually
Things
more than
cost a little
$500.
Yeah. Okay, all right, I'm good with that. Thank you.
You're welcome, and Sean, and then I've got Mike, I believe.
Yeah, on this non-allowable purchases, it says tractor or trailer riding mowers. So, what if they find a good used one? Would they be able to do that, or
I will have to look into that.
you would just let us know? And
I will.
when we go to at-large different places, just an average, how many people does CCO send?
Average.
Or just how many people most of the
That
time go?
CCO sends, I'll say 4 to 5 on average for CCO.
Okay.
It's according if they're a new organization, and typically new organizations are unorganized, and so we have to help them with the food service and everything like that, so we typically will send more.
What do you think the most you might send?
The most, maybe 7.
Maybe. All right. Thank you, sir.
Mike?
Just like to say thank you for the pamphlet, but I do like the phone numbers. I love those things. And if anybody else is watching in the departments who want more pamphlets with phone numbers,
Why not?
thank you.
I apologize to the other departments in advance.
Can you give the council some extra?
We can, for $1 a piece.
Community groups, I'd like to just hand it to them. Mayor.
Kevin, thank you for this. I think you're doing an outstanding job. What a
Anyone else?
Thank you for it, Kevin.
Barbara Foreman, Veterans Administration.
She's got pamphlets so bad.
How are you?
Good afternoon, council.
Good afternoon.
I have my report. Any questions on it?
Any questions for Barbara?
waited all day, no questions?
Bless her heart.
Just a comment, Barbara, they did a really good job over there for the Vietnam veteran ceremony. That was really good, great attendance by everybody. You know, I saw a lot of different folks there, so it was good. Keep up the good work.
I think on your report, we had 73. I had to make a correction. It was 124 veterans by the time it was done. So, yes.
Did EO cover me all right?
Yeah, he did. He did good. Yep.
I do want to thank the council that came to that event and for your continued support.
Victoria has a comment.
Yes, I just want to say thank you for all the work you've done on getting the food pantry open up in our area. Looks like we've got enough people now to have.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
Okay, how many more do we need?
We're at 166 right now.
And we need 200?
200.
Okay. Well, you've done a lot of great work. Thank you. Thank you.
Bob, how many employees do you have down there?
3. 3, including myself.
Add that to my comedy routine. How many employees do you have? So you got 3, right?
But we're mighty. 3, but we're mighty.
3 mighty.
Yes. I do have a report for you, some additional information if you have time.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so
I'll yield my time to Get on, Barb.
okay, so we did an application for a new vehicle for the Veteran Center, and it was in your report, and we were supposed to hear this month, and we have heard, and we will receive a new vehicle.
Oh, good.
And we're asking for like an expedition type of vehicle. It has to be Ford, and we'll get it right down the road here.
Electric?
So we're no, no, it's not electric.
Yeah.
But we should be hearing. We're just waiting on a phone call right now from them.
Good.
So. And also, I just wanted to update you on the bricks. Some of the older bricks, I know one of the council asked about that. We started with 60 brick now of the older ones that you can barely see. We're going to start replacing those, so we've got 60 in the order so far. We're only going to do just so many at a time. We have purchased already a kiosk for the bricks, and so once we have redone some of them, it will be where a person can come in and find their brick at our kiosk inside the Veterans Center. Okay, April 23rd, I just want to remind everyone that we're having the welcome home ceremony, and while we're focusing again on the Vietnam veterans is I have a partnership with the commemoration, the 50th anniversary commemoration for Vietnam veterans, and so we're required to do 2 events. So this will be our second one in Claremore, April 23rd at 9 o'clock, and I'd like to welcome all of you there. As Councilwoman stated, we've got that project going on in Nowata and South Coffeyville, and I'd like to say that we couldn't accomplish this without the council in that area, and also the people in the area. Your constituents have been really good to us at the Veterans Center in trying to find the names and of the people that are in need. We are able, with our other partnership that we have with the Eastern Oklahoma Food Bank, they have offered, so everyone knows, to serve 200 veterans and widows, 100 from South Coffeyville and 100 from Nowata, if we get those numbers. And just so everyone knows, how that area was chosen was that is the area that the food bank needs numbers in. And so that, because some people ask, well, how come we're not doing it in our area? That's the reason why, is they needed numbers in that area. So we did a survey amongst all these other things. We've been doing some surveys. We did some surveys we received 50 back on March 29th. When the veterans came in, we gave them surveys. And so the things that they said the most, I'll say the top 3, the needs on the survey listed as benefits assistance was their number one thing that they needed. There's a lot that fell in the number two category was like a ramp into their home, food, handicap rails in the bathrooms, veteran-to-veteran support, and all of those come up as a number two.
Well,
Okay, and so next we have programs that they'd like to see. Their top three things were the lunches, the veteran recognition events, and family nights is the third thing that they would like to see at the Veterans Center. So,
It's gonna be around family.
okay, so, any questions?
Sean, just follow up. So 3 people do all this stuff you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
All right, Bob. Now, you're not a complainer or anything, but wow. I mean, that's a, we all got the T-shirt about veterans. Please feel free to come to this body, and I'm sure everybody would agree. If there's some needs, we won't look at it like you're bragging or complaining, but by golly, that veterans, I mean, that holds a lot of water around here. So 3 people do all that? Good job, Bart.
Barbara, how much in funds would you really need next year for your budget? I mean, what you're doing is amazing.
Just let us know that sometime.
I can say this much, that we would like to branch out further into the other communities, and we will need staff for that.
I don't know what you're doing with, I mean, how you're doing what you're doing with just 3 people.
Yeah.
I mean, you're touching the lives that are changing people forever.
Thank you. And along the way, we're having a wonderful time, I have to say.
Well, I mean, that's one thing Cherokees are known for, and that's the respect for our elders and our veterans, and I'm always forever grateful for that.
We say that, there's still some gaps out there, but I want to commend her and
Absolutely.
her staff.
Mr. Byrd?
Well, first of all, Barbara can handle it because she's a former council member. She knows the ins and outs. If the higher-ups would listen at her sometimes, I mean, she knows. I mean, she's done a lot. You got to remember just where it was a few years ago and where she's brought it now. And we appreciate all you've done, Barbara.
Thank you,
I know the
Council.
veterans really appreciate it. It's a place where they can go and get services, and even a place where they belong. Drink coffee, sit around and talk, and you know, that's what they need.
And we're always working on something with them, Joe. Like right now, we're working on a project. The ones that, on the survey, that said that they had other needs, like the ramps and rails, all of that, we're working on that also as a project. And like, there's some of them that they have to fill out the applications with the Housing Authority. We're going to kind of try to walk through with them to do those things. And if we can't, you know, if they're not eligible for one, we go with the Veterans Administration also, same time. And so, but thank you, Council.
thank you.
All right. Old business, none pending.
Chair.
Yes.
I'm gonna just throw this out there, and a couple of years ago, I had brought up the fact about Cherokee cemeteries. My envision was a cemetery for Cherokees down south in the middle and in the northern areas, which you'd make these cemeteries nice, just like Fort Gibson. Now, let's talking to Barbara, and Barbara, you might explain a little bit. If you got anything going as far as getting a veteran cemetery, because I don't know, maybe not all cemeteries are like the one at Fort Gibson, and maybe not all Cherokee veterans want to be in the cemetery at Fort Gibson. So I just think there's some good plans. There could be some good work done with the cemetery.
At this point, we've been looking at a grant that is available for Cherokee Nation to possibly have a national cemetery, such as the same as Fort Gibson. But there's a lot to do with that. It's coming up quickly, and it will take a lot of a team. It'll take a team to do it. So.
Barbara, we're running out of time, so we appreciate you. We're gonna put you on first next time.
Yes, that's good.
If we can, so.
Thank
No
you.
old business, no new business.
Put your running shoes on, come to Vine and run this weekend. We're having a big run down our
Gonna run?
I'm gonna be there.
Next
Maybe
meeting,
they go by.
next meeting tentatively Monday, May 13th, 4 p.m. And
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second. Goodbye.